Hey everybody, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking about a relatively new show. It came out in July. We're going to be talking about Brave New World, the show on Peacock, the NBC streaming service, or if you're in Canada like me, it's on Showcase, I believe, weekly. And joining me tonight is my dear friend, Johnny B. Crazy, from House of the Conqueror. How you doing today, Johnny?
Doing good. I'm doing a lot better than the Western deer beast, which is extinct now in Brave New World. If you haven't seen it, you'll get it at some point. They were savage beasts. They like to eat grass and rut during mating season. Can you believe that? No, Brave New World's come out. It's not that new anymore. It's been around for a while. Aldous Huxley wrote a book about it, but this new world is definitely controversial. Would you rather be free or happy? That's kind of the choice if you break it down really simplistically. But I'm excited to talk about the first episode, introduce everybody to this world, and if y'all haven't seen it, give you a chance to catch on up. I don't know. We're going to have fun with it. It's just interesting topic. If you like Westworld, this is Westworld before Westworld. So Westworld takes a major inspiration from this. Even characters of the same name, like Bernard.
Ford, in the book at least.
Somewhat the same character. Yeah, you got Henry Ford, who is God in the book. It's a little different. We got an AI and Indra in the show, which it's 2020, right? If you don't have a AI in your futuristic show, well, you're nothing. You're just a piece of shit. Okay, so just get with the program.
Exactly.
But no, I really like kind of how they implemented this, especially with the contacts, which we'll get into in just a few. What's up, Peter Griffin? Something like giggity or something. So I'll throw it back to you. I've been a motor mouth already. Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm gonna just shut the fuck up now. Thank you.
It's okay. So if Brave New World is mostly a standard, I guess, in English class within, I would assume, North America, due to obviously being a classic novel. And like Johnny had mentioned, Brave New World spawned many other dystopian-like societies, like we talked about Westworld. So if you're looking for a hole for your Westworld watching, Brave New World is a great one. So basically, the show's premise, if we're going to describe it how they themselves want to describe this show to the audience, is imagined a utopian society that has achieved peace and stability through the prohibition of monogamy, privacy, money, family, and history itself. And it modernizes the 1932 novel with the addition of artificial intelligence named Indra that connects people via wireless network. And on the show, you may find cast members from shows that we have covered previously on the channel. Aidan Ellerich plays John the Savage, Jessica Brown Finley, who plays Lyanna Crown, Harry Lloyd, who plays Bernard Marks, and a few others sprinkled in there as well. So what did you think about the cast, actually, of this show? Not too many bigwig names brought in, but...
I mean, come on, Charlotte Wells has stole my heart again, of course, right? But I really actually enjoy her a lot, her acting and facial expressions. The fact that she's good looking is, it's definitely a plus, right? And then Harry Lloyd, he's kind of perfect for this role. You can see glimpses of Viserys here and there, but he's really kind of comes into his own and makes his character his. Like, he's not just Viserys Targaryen. He's, Harry Lloyd's a good actor. He's also Professor Xavier from when it was Legion, from Legion. So I really, really like the cast. Even Demi Moore, she does good in it as John the Savage's mother. John the Savage himself is cast pretty damn well. even down to the rednecks and Sheila, which is Nancy from Harlots.
Yes.
She looks so scary that yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really good role for her, and that's nothing against her. She just has one of those faces that you don't want to cross that person. Okay, that's
No, it's true.
pretty much as simple as it is to it. And a little known, I don't know, maybe people know this, but one of Aldous Huxley's proteges went under the pseudonym of George Orwell and wrote 1984. So Aldous Huxley has basically inspired almost all modern sci-fi that we know today.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, you know, that may be a broad hyperbolic statement, but he has inspired so many things that we see in all of our sci-fi today. So I think it's really cool. It's something to look into. If you are going to read or listen to the book's free. You can find it on YouTube, the
Mm-hmm.
audiobook. It is not without its controversy, and it was what 1932,
Yes.
Mackenzie, and
It was written in
terms
1930.
used in 1932 that we don't use anymore.
Yes.
Is it like super offensive? Not really. But it is, I would say, extremely creepy. And I think this show captures that pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll get into all that. Yeah.
Exactly. So the basically what we're going to be doing here tonight is going over the world, setting it up for you if you have either need a refresher or you're exploring this world for the first time. And as well as giving a kind of brief overview of the first episode, because that's where you get a lot of this information. So we have two prime locations in this show. You have New London, which is set in England for the elites of the world, and then you have the Savage Lands, which is predominantly in North America, but it's highlighted to be about the Southwest. And it's what they kind of consider modern world, like right now, basically. So Johnny, what do you want? Where do you want to start? Do we want to start with our New London characters or in the Savage Lands?
Well, let's start with the New London. The Nina Crown is look okay. This is something we haven't talked about, which we're gonna go back and forth. But the first thing we pick up on is the Nina Crown is the baby making assembly line. She is fertilizing the embryos or something like that. I don't know exactly what she's doing. Okay, I'm not a scientist, even though I like to get nerdy with science sometimes. But in general, they make babies on a factory line, and I think this is a good time to kind of talk about the caste system in which they live. You are born into your life. You do not get to choose. There are no choices really in this world, but everyone's happy and drugged up. Yes, I saw. What are those? What are those
Oh yes.
classes?
So yeah, sorry, I was just about to answer Peter, but I'll do it right now. Yes, you can watch it on Peacock in America. The first episode is available for free when you sign up, and then it's paid for the rest of the season. It's behind a paywall, but you can find it online. And for the caste systems in New London, you have Alpha Plus, Alpha, Alpha Minus, Beta Plus, Beta, Beta Minus, Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon. So it's a lot, but like Johnny mentioned, your status in society is chosen when you are an embryo, basically. And how you are treated.
Government sanctioned CRISPR.
Yes. And how you are basically treated as an embryo is what also determines your rank in society. The book goes into much more, I would say, graphic detail in regards to the treatment of these embryos, and they do sort of mention it later on down the season. But yes, your rank is determined at birth, and you literally see it happen within the first 30 seconds of the show, actually. So, what do you feel about like such an extensive list for the caste systems in this world? As to me, it's kind of a lot, but it's important.
Reminiscent of governments we've seen.
Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. Government. It's reminiscent of government we've seen today, except more exaggerated. Um, and to mention what you were talking about, how it's kind of horrific what they do. It really is. The Epsilons, for example, this is probably who gets it the worst. They're the lowest of the lowest class. They are mass-produced twins. Sometimes there will be 96 of them. They lack individuality and do the undesirable jobs like cleaning toilets, basically. They are not allowed to read or write. And you know how they're able to get this desired effect and make them stupid. They purposefully give them fetal alcohol syndrome. I'm laughing because of how messed up this is. This, when I think of messed up things, I tend to giggle, and it doesn't mean I'm making light of it. It's just this coping mechanism. But they also starve them of oxygen. And, people think, and I'll just go ahead and throw this out there. People think our character, Bernard Marks, played by Harry Lloyd, might have accidentally got some fetal alcohol syndrome on the assembly line somewhere. So this is going to be the root of his conflict with himself, because he's not accepted, and we kind of get glimpses of that here. Because he's different and Lenina's different, and they find out that together. They notice that about each other in this episode, and I think that's pretty beautiful. But the system in and of itself is, it's regimented. It's not based off of emotion. It's based off science and what's the best possible outcome for this, because you have an AI that is trying to control the uncontrollable, which is human beings and their emotions, and this is the system that's been put in place, and it's very Pavlovian system. Infants and toddlers are tased, into oblivion, into basically doing the right thing. They keep getting subliminal messages while they're sleeping. They have to repeat these messages. It is a cult for all intents and purposes. It's I would say it's a cult. Then you have the orgy porgies, which they're all in the books. This is way more messed up because it's all the kids that have sexual orgies, and it's the book is crazy. Okay, it's good, but it's crazy.
Yes.
Here, it's adults, like it should be, but they're made to want to seek this pleasure. Everything is about keeping their mind off anything human, any emotions, any type of pain. It's about going through life and being happy and not worrying about anything. Betas are basically sex slaves to alphas. It's disgusting, but also there is which we'll talk about this later in the series. There are benefits to this, because there is no violence. There is no suicide up until now, up until the first episode. They aren't these bad things. No. But can you be truly happy without having the bad? Can you have the good without the bad? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shut up now.
It's okay. This society basically runs on complete happiness. So anything negative, whether negative thoughts or negative actions, are taken away. So some of the rules that that are implemented in this version of society is that you have no privacy, which is involved heavily with Indra. You can't have a monogamous relationship. You are basically to be with anybody and everybody who wants you or you want them, pretty much, and you're not allowed to have a biological family.
You can't turn down sexual advances, right?
Nope. Not in this world. And you're also not allowed to have any biological children. So women aren't allowed to be pregnant. Men can't get women pregnant. And you have to stand by your level and serve the people above your level. So Epsilons, they have to serve everybody else, and so on and so forth. And Beta Plus, well, you serve down, basically, because your Beta Pluses are your higher levels in society, like Bernard Marks, Harry Lloyd. He is an Alpha Plus, and he is known as a counselor for everybody else. And
Soma Man.
yes, and the Soma Man as well. So Soma is this world's version of basically, I would say, medicine to make you happy. It's given out, usually the generalized versions are given out to you freely, and then as you go higher and higher within the manipulative or addictive properties, you could say, it changes, obviously. So you start off as a young child with violet and indigo, and they're like the weakest forms, and then you have blue and then green. So the green Soma is shown throughout the show. It's the most common use of Soma, and it's the baseline pretty much for adults within this society. And then you grow to yellow, orange, and red. Yellow is introduced in the first episode, as well as orange. And yellow is only given out by counselors, and they're the only ones who can access them. And yellow is used for emotional trauma. So if you're going through a hard time, they'll usually give you a yellow Soma to take while you're ingesting this information. And same thing with orange, but it's believed that it's to be closely tied with physical trauma. So any pains you may be feeling, and so on and so forth. I personally like the idea of these different levels of Soma, and then to obviously be a part of it, as well as red. So red Soma is given out by the, quote, Soma Man, which you find out later in the season, and it's known as the death pill. So when it's your time to die, you're given the death pill. So what do you feel about Soma, Johnny, and how they use it in the show?
Soma's just antidepressant pain pills and Xanax combined. It seems like it's all that and above. The one good thing about it, I guess it's okay. Nobody has OD'd on it since I've seen in the show. I know, spoiler. Somebody gonna take too many Soma? Apparently not. And sorry about the squeaky arm there. But, that sweet release of death for the red pill, it seems kind of sad, but it's almost, wouldn't everybody want to be able to go peacefully like that? I think that's kind of an ideal world, but they don't get to live as long as everyone else. They don't really get old. We'll see that they do age and sometimes can live for a good amount of years, but they don't become like the ancient ones of the Savage Land, whose skin you can see through.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no grandmas living and grandpas living in New London.
Soma is the answer for everything. You feeling weird? Take a Soma. You feeling down? Take a Soma. You're hurting anywhere? Take a Soma. Did you just ask me a question? Take a Soma. Yeah, and it's basically the pill for everything, and it's really a symbol for just like, how do you say it? Depressing all of your humanity almost.
Yeah.
Are they more than robots at this point that are just going through the motions of life? Are they truly happy? That's a big question. This is a manufactured happiness. It's not natural for sure.
No. And how they kind of have their Soma, if you're wondering, is basically in like a Pez dispenser. It just click it and then it comes out pretty much, and you just refill your stash pretty much every day, because it's not a huge one. It's not like you just carry it around in your pocket. Well, you do, but you have to keep refilling it as well. And yeah, the Soma, it's meant to just keep you happy, so you never feel all of the emotions, which we actually kind of go through it later on down the season as well, and they kind of explore it a little bit in the first episode. But now on to the Savage Lands, which everybody wants to talk about. In the Savage Lands, obviously, there's no caste system. It's like modern day, like right now. And in the Savage Lands, there is laws, so to speak, loose laws, which are like you can get married, you can have a natural family, you can be a monogamous, you have to have family and family values, you give birth naturally, like you do in today's world, and you actually
Can you
have
believe it?
privacy. I know, right? You like women can actually have their own children. What is this? Um, and surprisingly enough, within the Savage Lands, there are important places that they use to show the New Londoners. A There is the House of Monogamy, which is presented as a church. You have the House of Consequence, which is called upon as a prison. The House of Want, which is like stores and shopping, so to speak, and then the House of Futility, where pretty much they don't you don't see it in the show, but it's described as like seemingly pointless, where it's excessive eating and just enjoying life and luxury, pretty much, because you can be any size you want in the Savage Lands. And these houses are demonstrated basically as a theme park attraction for the New Londoners. And my oh my, does it make us feel bad when you go to the Savage Lands in the first episode? You're like, what is happening here? Because a lot of our modern luxuries, you could say, are basically stripped away. Like through John, there's basically no more music in this world, and he's struggling to find his music. So, what did you think about the Savage Land, like how they're portrayed? Um, Obviously, in contrast.
Yeah, I mean, well, for one, I don't think Aldous Huxley was being too subtle about this, but the Savage Land and the Savages, the fact that they're on reservations and then they give shows of what their culture used to be, it's kind of a spectacle. It definitely, I mean, if you don't think about what happened to the Native Americans in America and
Mm-hmm.
how they were treated, there's certainly many parallels there. Industrialism is definitely like, and just just technology. People with more technology
Mm-hmm.
think they know the better way to live. Um, and I would say we're definitely not in touch with nature as much anymore. But the savages in the savage land aren't really either. They're trying to make their everyday life just by from the money or the income that they get from the new worlders, and they don't really. Dude, you have to feel like you're in a zoo. It has to be one of the most degrading things ever, and we see that it
Mm-hmm.
really is. Sheila wants to do something about it. There is a small revolution afoot, and John's at the center of it. He will make decisions that will change the world
Mm-hmm.
forever. And it's a tough thing because John
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like he belongs, which is some good foreshadowing for the future of the series. You'll have to find that out for yourself. But they live day to day. They have
Mm-hmm.
music with words in it. You ever think about that? People actually sung songs.
Mm-hmm.
Just small little things that are not things we take for granted. Um, they're showing off family units like it's a tour in Africa and you're looking at the damn lions or something.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it's 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 kind of hilarious. But the savages are all portrayed as super rednecks in this show, so
Mm-hmm.
don't know how I feel about that, but they all are super rednecks. Yeah, and there is this barrier that if they try to leave this reservation, because they don't have freedom either,
Mm-hmm.
it's both of these societies don't really have freedom. The savages have more freedom, but if they try to leave, they just get cut into pieces, instantly killed. So, this is how revolutions start. This is how,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, if you back, you back people in the corner, they're going to do something eventually. And we see Sheila already has a plan. And
Of course.
yeah, John's just, of course, falls in love with the wrong woman. She's a horrible, horrible person.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah. Want and consequence, which is the second episode. This is a big theme of the entire season. Your wants always have some sort of consequence, for better or worse. And this is being set up here, and these people want more, but you gotta take the good with the bad. Things are gonna happen from your actions. Actions generate reactions. Um, yeah, it's that's about. I don't know how much more I want to say because it expands on it in later episodes. I don't want to give away too much, but
No.
basically this is a people that are much like me and you, not big city people, more like
Suburbia.
rednecks. I mean, they're
Rednecks.
not even suburbia. They're living poorer than that. It
Mhm.
almost looks like Fallout over there, but
Sure.
they're just hanging on to the last little bit, and the only reason they're probably still there and not wiped out is because they are a spectacle, and it's really really sad,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, yeah, this whole story is sad and happy, and it evokes a lot of emotions. That's why I would recommend anybody to watch this, especially if you like things like Westworld. But this isn't as heady as Westworld. You can casually watch this and get the message. But you could also find deeper meaning there if you would like. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. But
Yeah, there's not as much like mental depth to like it's not a lot of because a lot of people's problems with Westworld is like the fact that it's very much focused on how you think and why you think this way and how your actions influence other people's things. So if you want to try Westworld, but you want your gateway kind of show, try this one. I mean, you have actors that you probably recognize on this show, which will make it a little bit easier. And also the like material within it is very easy to understand. If you like the types of shows that we're watching, like that we watch all the time here on the channel, yeah, like we kind of described the episode, but we can kind of quickly go over it. So, Leanna Crown, gets
Lenina,
Lenina,
you better get her beautiful name right.
She works as a scientist, basically with the babies, with the embryos, if you want to call it. And she's gotten in trouble with her seemingly developing boyfriend and goes to Bernard Marx's office to basically get told, stop this or you're going to get a lot more in trouble. And obviously we develop their relationship, and she basically says, cut this relationship off and go hang out with somebody new. Go to this party and we'll like basically go find somebody else to sleep with. That's like the first like couple minutes of the episode, and it kind of
Bernard
jumps you
doesn't
in.
practice what he preaches, though.
No.
It's a really good story here,
No.
because Bernard and Lenina, by the end of this episode, realize they have way more in common than they really know. And I think that's an awesome thing. This whole story is kind of a coming of age story for 30-year-olds, which I know is ironic, but they are kept in a childlike state perpetually, forever and ever. They're not really. They don't let them grow up. They don't let them experience life. Life is experienced for you. Indra knows all. Indra knows best. Orgy porgy. And welcome, Danny. Welcome, Danny.
Yes.
Danny is surprised that we have actually came back, and there's a redneck on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we're coming back. We're coming back. We're just got to watch some new stuff for you guys just so we can chat about it. um, yeah, we have their relationship because basically Lenina's like the person that she's involved with is also an alpha plus, and Bernard's like, cut that shit off. And we see our first, obviously, commercial for the Savage Land. So that's how you get introduced to that world. They make it sound so nice in the trailer. Marketing. Oh, that's all marketing. And we see our first death, basically, of this season. And it's a death of a Epsilon known as C-Jack 60. And we see how basically they kind of treat these types of incidents in this world, because more times than not this does not happen, and a lot of soma is used to deal with it for the people who happen to view it, basically. But the clothes also in this episode, this show is phenomenal. So yeah, we get that, and it's because it makes you again think, because they're not allowed really to think very deeply in society. So when Bernard is challenged with trying to figure out why this man commits suicide, it sends him on his own personal journey. Like, this triggers that journey as well. What do you think about Bernard?
Something happened. He touched C-Jack 57's crushed head and got a vision, basically, of this, of the death of what happened. And he really can't come to terms with it, right? He drops, like, the orange off the top to see what would happen. He's trying to figure it out, but everybody is telling him, no, you just need some damn soma. Yeah, you're just seeing things. Nobody would kill themselves here. That's unheard of. But this he had already, even from the books, and if you really pay attention to Bernard, even from the beginning of this, he's already been thinking about his own life. He's already, fell in love and had his own feelings for people. He also doesn't like just having random sex, which we see later in the episode. And here he has just been hit with a vision, so he got to feel this Epsilon's last moments right before he killed himself. And this sends him on a journey. He goes to his best friend, Wilhelmina, if I can even say it right, which I really like her character. She's pretty damn cool. She is a procurer of fantasies, which you'll just see later in the episodes. But we get to see his vulnerability really here and what he's really struggling with, even more because, Helm, I'll call her for short, even mentions that he's always like this. You're just being Bernard right now.
Yeah.
Take some more somas, okay? And that lets you know, hey, this guy right here is seeing both sides. Like, he has a tendency to bury his head in this world and stay with the program, but he also has a tendency to want to break it. Like Bernard, you could say, is a good mix of wanting freedom and wanting happiness. If that's not too much of a spoiler. But, yeah, I'll leave it there as far as that goes.
Yeah, we have them have that conversation. And in the book, or in the novel, Helm is a man. In the show, she is a woman, and she's involved with creating the pleasure bombs, which is basically all of the events that bring everybody from New London together who want to go, basically. And she says, you're not right in the head, and you're going to go take my reservation at the pleasure gardens and go let off some steam, basically. And that kind of then slowly transitions us into what happens also in the novel, which is a party that breaks out into, let's just say, an adult-only party, because they do this in the book where they obviously...
You can say it. Orgy porgy. Yes. You can say it.
The orgy
porgy. they start chanting it, and it gets really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's in the book. They have like they call it orgy porgy party because they pray to the god of Henry Ford, who invented, who was basically responsible for the assembly line. So that again, another nod to Westworld there. And Bernard sees Lena Crown, and he seemingly gets jealous of the fact that she's with somebody else, even though he said earlier in the episode, "Go hang out with a new boy toy." Pretty much.
and in the books, when you're first meeting Bernard, he clearly is in love with Lenina and hiding it. This is his inner conflict. Because you're not supposed to love, you're not supposed to be possessive, and that's why it's so ironic at the beginning of the episode that he's telling her to not be possessive with Henry, and it's really cool. But all of your sexual experiences are logged. Everybody can see what you're doing at any point in time. All they have to do is think about you. Um, we'll discuss Indra more later because it becomes way more prominent. But there's no privacy here, and when you try to get a little bit of it, it doesn't work out that well, as we've seen. You get in trouble, like Bernard just got in trouble. He's been taking a lot of privacy lately, and even before this suicide. So this again reaffirms Bernard has already been questioning the nature of his reality.
Dun dun dun.
And he does represent the Bernard from Westworld. He's caught between two worlds. He understands the plight of the people, but also wants to keep order at the same time. So he's in constant conflict with that. And you'll see that throughout. Like, I feel like if I keep talking, I'm going to give way too many spoilers. But yeah.
So after, of course, Bernard has his freak out and leaves the party, we get transported on what they describe as an 11-minute rocket to the Savage Lands, where we meet John the Savage, who we come to see he's a car washer, but he also works in the props department for all of the houses, specifically the House of Monogamy, which we talked about earlier. And we see him have a conversation with a wannabe love, Madison, who has horrible tattoos, as she plays the local bride who wants to get married. And we also learn that John lives with his mother, Linda, who is played by Demi Moore. And they don't, obviously, like we talked about earlier, have the best living situation. Like, the lights go off, they don't have enough food to eat all the time.
She's a crazy town whore. Just say it, Mackenzie.
Yes, she is that very much. And she probably likes to steal the neighborhood husbands from time to time. And she's an alcoholic.
One simple sentence. Crazy town whore. At least that's how she's portrayed at first.
Yes.
But maybe she's more complicated than that.
We don't know.
Dun, dun, but her and John clearly have a tumultuous relationship and aren't on the best of terms. The son is more of a parent than the mother. There's another hint. Yes. And don't be spoiling, Salsa, all right? Keep going.
Well, and then Linda loves to talk about John's father. And John's father is not in the picture, not because he died or anything, but because he's a mysterious man.
Gotcha.
Pretty much. And throughout the episode, John gets introduced to Sheila, who's basically the leader of the wannabe rebellion that's going to inevitably break out. And John doesn't know how he feels about that because his mom gets threatened and he protects his mama. And
well, John doesn't want to kill people, He's got kind of a kind heart. And he's clearly just saw that he's been manipulated by a woman that he had a crush on. I'm sorry, John. And go back all the tattoos and everything about the way she presents herself to the world. Massive red flags, John. Run away, bruh. Run away. Not saying I don't have tattoos or anything, but this is clearly the epitome of a horrible person
yes.
that uses people manipulates people that have actual feelings for them, whether that be a man or woman or otherwise. It's yeah, it's really interesting here, but he's not really given much of a choice, right?
No, because pretty much if he rejects this proposition, Madison, that's her name, by the way, the horribly dressed woman, she's basically
It's
threatened to
spelled
kill.
interestingly too.
Yes, the name is not how you would think it's spelled. It's Madyson. Um, or it's Sun, sorry. And yeah, so basically, John has to work with her and Sheila and all of them folk, or Mom's gonna get killed. And that's what he kind of like leaves off in that episode, is like listening to the music that he only has a few songs on his what's it called, on his like tape deck, pretty much. And
Yeah, it's
that's
like
where
a
you leave him.
makeshift Walkman or something. It's semi high tech. Looks like something Mark Wahlberg would have in the Transformers movie or something. I know that's
Yeah.
kind of casting some shade, but it's not really clear how that damn thing works he's got there. But yeah, that's his lifeline is that
The
and
music.
he doesn't have much else than that. He's not really accepted in the Savage Lands as one of them. He's kind of ostracized because his mom is
The
seen him
town
as a
floozy.
loony. It's not. It's not really his fault. She just tends to cause a lot of issues that he has to fix. So he doesn't even have time for himself. And that's the tragedy behind it.
Yeah, the town floozy's always causing problems. It just happens to be his mom.
Hey, Lindar.
Hello. Yes. And we get you're wrapping up kind of the end of Bernard and Liana in this episode. Bernard gets a call from the director, and he's basically like, well, you're acting strange. You're turning off your privacy, because how they can track it is through basically a contact that sticks in your eye. And once you take it off, you're offline. And he's basically saying he needs to be reconditioned, so he has to go to the Savage Lands. And there was,
He needs a vacation.
yeah. I mean, if you get to go to the Savage Lands for your vacation, and he basically invites Lena along with him to go to the Savage Lands after they talk about what happened in the pleasure gardens. And well, to fulfill what Indra wants of them, they have they
Isn't it this
project
episode
themselves.
that they say we're savages? Lenina says we're savages. Or is that next
I
episode?
think it's in the next episode. In the
Well,
next episode.
sorry for spoiling. Small spoiler.
Well, they're going to the
They're not
Savage
really
Land.
savages, but I'm just saying that scene's really good. And yeah, they were realizing how much they actually had in common, and get to see them start a little adventure together.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to fulfill what Indra wants of them, they're like, well, we'll just project ourselves in a sexual manner, pretty much. And that's how you end the episode, is you see, actually, a rocket go off, and you see it from both ends of the world. You see it in the Savage Lands, and from New London as well. So 2 rockets going off to create a big firestorm in the coming episodes. So I thoroughly think that this show is definitely worth the watch. Like, if you are looking for something to fill this void in television, basically, it's one of those shows where it's like, I like it because, of course, we like Westworld over here on the channel and everything. And it's a show that I had seen about, but then when I saw the marketing for it, I was like, I'm in. And plus, it has people we know in it. What do you think, like, overall, Johnny, about this, at least the world of this show, and what we are telling the people in the chat today about this show.
The show is really good. I would recommend it to a casual viewer or someone who loves just delving deep into lore and TV shows. There's something for everyone in this. Drama, there is comedy, suspense, maybe not horror. Well, I don't know. If you, I don't know. There is some horror, You get to watch toddlers get tased a little bit. I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's in your wheelhouse of horror. It's just the world in itself is kind of a horror. It's almost hard to imagine, but not really. Uh, we've seen things in this world that make me think we might not be far from this, and that Aldous Huxley might be a prophet, but that's yet to be determined. I tell you what, he did predict a lot of things with this and how future society would start to work and start to evolve. Will it end up in this? I don't know, but I guarantee you should watch this show because it gives you something to think about. Everybody's worried about being happy all the time, but if you never have anything bad in your life, you can't necessarily appreciate and fully understand what happy is. I don't think. That's just my messed up philosophy about it. But, there's, like I said earlier, there's an argument for both ways of life. I would say maybe you should land somewhere in the middle, but there are definitely good and bad aspects of the Savage Land and the New Worlders, and what we'll see mostly is New London. Now, I'll just say this, there are 10 other big-ass cities across the world, at least in the books. But that, and I'm sure they'll expand on that in the show, but right now, we just got New London to worry about, and yeah, I mean, it's a really good intro. I like the soundtrack is good, the acting is good, the camera angles, the shots, the cinematography is good.
The fashion and the clothes. It's simple.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
mean,
nice.
yeah, it's a really solid TV show. I would recommend it.
Yeah, it's like the acting as well. It's not like, come on, like you have Viserys Targaryen in the show, like another way to like when he grew up, basically. The what's it called? The more modern version of Viserys is in this show. But yeah, like if there's anybody with questions in the chat, I saw that Linda R popped in, and yes, we're back to watch some more content, and yeah, we will be covering this more. I know there's some more things, like Justin from TopShelf Fandom, he is also going to be covering this show as well, because gotta pack yourself with a little bit more of content. And yes, it's on Peacock. You can watch the first episode when you just sign up for the show, but like for the free version, I believe it is, and then it's behind the paywall, the remaining episodes, but they're online. But yeah, for me, I 100% recommend this show. It's basically the show that I watched before I watched Raised by Wolves, actually. It's a nice show that if you just want to sit back and watch something, go ahead and watch it. And we're definitely going to continue to cover this show on the channel because it creates a nice discussion and discourse while we wait for some of our other shows to come back, like Vikings, which should get its announcement when the season is dropping very soon, based off of the timeline of last year. So, Johnny, what else do you have that you're doing / kind of working on, or if anything, because I know you're not doing so much on your own channel.
I'm working with TopShelf Fandom as part of the team, helping with scripts and videos and some things like that. There will be Justin will be putting out a breakdown for the first 3 episodes pretty soon. It's going to be really good. We're putting our expertise together, if you want to call anything I say expertise. But we're putting our heads together, to kind of create a better product, whatever the hell you want to call it. Videos are gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. Justin is awesome. He's helped me a lot, so we're gonna have fun doing this. I will come back to my channel. Honestly, it takes a lot to make videos, researching, writing scripts, editing the video, recording, doing the sound editing. It can be a pain in the ass. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, physically, emotionally. I'm not gonna get in the details, but I had to take a step back for a little while, and I will be back. So. And when I do come back, there's going to be some super polished videos on my channel, so be on the lookout for that. But for right now, go over to TopShelf Fandom if you enjoy my work. I know you'll enjoy Justin's, and hell, you'll be supporting me as well by going over there. And
Exactly.
Justin deserves some recognition because that man works hard.
Yes.
So I appreciate you for having me on. And Peter Griffin, I have not watched Archive yet, but literally got written right here in front of me in big ass letters.
Watch the show or the movie.
Then not having to do a lot of reading of books from 1932 with very outdated language, and haven't really had a chance to. Get on the Archive yet, but I will, buddy. I appreciate the recommendation as well, and I'll definitely have something to say about it as soon as I can get it watched. What do I use? I use Filmora. Resolve kind of it's good, but you can't do a lot with it unless you get the paid version, but it's good for your general editing. As far as your video fitting the screen. That's just weird. I don't know. I have to mess around with the aspect ratio or something, but Filmora is really good. One flat price, you get it for life. And the flat price ain't like $70, I think, $70 or $80. It's really good. There's a lot of After Effects and stuff you can get to. I would recommend that for anyone, but Resolve is pretty good if you can get DaVinci to work. I had some problems with it, like freezing and stuff like that. But I used Resolve for a while. Didn't have no damn money, so that's one out there. You can also, I think there's a couple of other free ones you can use, but Resolve's definitely the best free one that you can use.
Especially for like PC, it's probably the best one.
Yeah.
In terms of this show, there's 9 episodes and they're about an hour each, and they're anticipating a second season based off of the press coverage that they have. So it's not a mini series or anything. It doesn't end in the way that the book does, if you're wondering. Like, for certain characters, it continues on the story. So hopefully they get a season 2. If we get enough eyeballs, you and everybody else that we know watching, they'll get a second season. For where I watch it, I can watch it here in Canada. They have it licensed to Showcase. That's where I can watch it. But you can find it online very easily. But with that, yes, we'll be back hopefully next week. I know some stuff happened and I haven't been back in a while. Some health stuff and some stuff in behind the scenes. But we should be back next week to talk about the next 2 episodes, because the show, once you get started, like every other streaming service, it is hard to talk about 1 episode at a time. But we wanted to today give you the groundwork for this show, loosely talk about the premiere episode, get you enticed a little bit, have an appetizer, so to speak. And we will see you guys next week for episode 2, Want and Consequence, and episode 3, Swallow. So we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And we're done.